It's Candy-O 742. Stand by, Mariah Carey next.
I would rather be in the field of animation. Feel like I could be myself, yet someone different at the same time.
Bringing a world perspective to today's news.
Why voiceover? It's powerful, it's creative, it's cool.
Oh yes, voiceover is cool, but it's not as cool as Talking Shop with Dan Lothian and La Lapidus. What's that? It should be La Lapidus first, then Dan Lothian? They'll fix it in post. This is Mike, Camera, Action.
Woohoo!
Oh, yeah, baby. We made it.
Yes, we have that. And we're adding to our overall applause soundtrack that we have here. And
goodness.
Why are we doing that? Why are we applauding?
We are doing that, Dan, because we have made it.
We have made it.
To the
THE 100 show. Isn't that amazing?
Show. It's amazing.
I remember when we first started out. Do you remember what our first show was all about?
How many years ago was that?
10.
10.
No, actually, we don't even know.
That?
It was, Brendan is back, by the way. Welcome back, Brendan.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
A lot has changed here. There's a TV.
Bren is in the house.
He used to be a regular on here. His insights always adding the wisdom that we lacked on our show. So that was wonderful. Yeah, so I had to go back to listen to this to remember what our first show was. And we had this discussion about how we could launch this show, and we were trying different things, but the thing that we settled on was, let's do the first podcast about how you do the first podcast.
Oh, right.
You remember that?
Right. It was a big brainstorm.
That's
It
right.
was a brainstorm.
That's it.
It was kind of this, let's show you how the sausage is being made as we figure out how to make sausage. So that was interesting for us.
That was great.
And initially it was just us talking, right?
Talking about talking.
Talking about talking.
That's right. It was very meta-theatrical.
Yes,
right? It was
it
an
was.
idea
That
within
was
an
the band.
idea
That was
we were
the game
actually
plan.
right.
That was the game
demonstrating.
plan.
That was
and-
Bren's idea, by the way.
Oh, well, we knew there was some brains behind this. And also there were, I think we wanted to also make it an extension of the book that we were working on at the time, where we could talk about our insights into the industry and anything that we feel we could pass along to someone.
Did we start the book, though, at that time? I don't know if
Yeah.
we started
Oh,
it
no.
at that
I think we
time.
started
At
the
the beginning
book-
of this podcast, we started the book?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think the brainstorming of the,
The
book
brain-
happened.
the brainstorm,
right?
yeah.
Then the book
we
idea
thought
came
they
a few
could,
months later,
yeah,
right?
but I think we were hoping that we could use some of either this in the book or the book in this.
Right.
There was some synergy that we hoped to kind of bring
Yes.
along. And I think for the most part we've cited book stuff on the podcast, but it really took the transition when you started bringing people to the table.
Yes. and
Forcing
we got-
them on me.
We literally have people at the table right now being forced on Dan. We've got Carol, our Coach Carol in the house. We've
That's
got
right.
Coach Malka in the house.
That's right. Hello,
Everyone
hello.
knows these fabulous gals.
That's right.
Talk
And
about beauty and brains. They don't even have
They
to
are
say
here.
anything. Their essence is just
The presence is felt.
looming. The
Yes.
presence is felt.
It's like a ghost.
Yes.
No, actually, a
They're
positive
all-
ghost, a good
They're
ghost.
posing for us.
They are.
Okay.
They're doing their fingers going.
The model pose.
But so when we think back over the 100 episodes, there's so many great ones.
So
the
many,
guests who
Dan.
came in and out of our small studio here, and the one that jumps out at me is when we had Envision Success Project in here. We
I'm
had
so
7
glad.
people
I'm so
in
glad.
the booth.
That warms my heart.
That's one of my favorite. First of all, I didn't think we could put that many people on.
Yeah, I wish you guys
Unbelievable,
took
right?
pictures. Wish you guys took pictures.
Oh, we didn't. Oh,
No,
I'm
we did.
sorry.
We have pictures.
Did
Oh,
we?
of all 7 people.
Yeah, I think there
haven't
were
seen
pictures.
I haven't seen them yet.
We kept them from you.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough.
We were
Kathy-
like clowns in a Volkswagen, right? I mean, they just kept coming out of the
that I think
studio.
we
I don't
talked
know how
about,
they got
yeah.
in, right?
And Kathy, who was
Kathy.
leading the group, you at one point didn't even realize. She goes, "You said, hey, come to the microphone." She goes, "No, I have a mic on." We had we had given her a wire mic
Yeah.
and that we had to be creative in order to get them on here. But I think what was great about that show is that it was so inspiring. Here
So
are young
inspiring.
people who have some sight vision issues. Some are blind. Others have limited sight. Yet they are not letting that stand in the way of success.
Yeah,
of
it's
life.
pretty amazing
It was
when
so
you look
inspiring.
at this group. This is a high school group coming in for leadership training and education to learn about public speaking skills and communication and performance. And, it's really amazing when you look at that kind of a group and they're coming in and the sky's the limit for them. Really, what they're capable of doing is really amazing.
We are a career exploration and job readiness training program, specifically for transition age youth, that's ages 14 to 21, still in school, with visual impairments. So anyone ranging from legally blind with fairly good sight but just can't drive a car, all the way to completely blind. We bring them around to businesses to have business tours, for instance, to get exposure to different kinds of work sites that they might want to envision themselves at in the future. And we do soft skills training and other kinds of counseling that has to do with being at that time in your life.
Boy, when you wake up in the morning and you have something, you're complaining about aches or the weather or whatever, you know, listening to them will make you put all that aside and say, I'm so thankful for everything that I have, and I can't complain about anything.
Not a thing. And you know who else really brightens my day?
Who
really makes
me?
my day.
Me.
Beside you.
Oh, okay.
Is my lady, Debbie Derryberry. Love Debbie.
She was great.
She just makes me happy. Thinking of Debbie.
The name.
She just makes me happy. Her force.
I smile when I say that name.
Right?
Debbie, how can you frown with her name?
I think every listener we have has listened to Debbie Derryberry more than once.
Yes.
Just because she's prolific as a A-lister, cartoon character,
voiceover,
animation.
animation, voices, Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron is it,
Mr. Jimmy
Right
Neutron.
now she's in F for Family.
She's the young daughter in F is for Family. Yes.
Wow.
Just tons and tons of things. She's hilarious.
And what I liked about the interview that we had with her is when I think you were the one who said to her, so we want to hear some of your characters. And man, it was just great to see her break that out.
Yeah, we went on a ride that there was no return. I mean, she's just awesome. If you would indulge me for a moment, and that is
Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron, right? Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, Jimmy Neutron. Oh, yeah. Listen, so me and my buddies are going to go over to the candy bar in my hovercraft. Goddard, don't be pooping the aluminum cans. Coming, Mom. What a blast. Yeah.
My daughter will like that. I will tell my daughter that we interviewed you today, and she will just flip. Isn't it weird when you actually get to know someone or see someone, and then you hear them go into character? It's like, oh my goodness! Like if you're just used to hearing these little voices, and then that's the face that's producing that voice. It's amazing, right?
I just had that experience. I mean, I've been in the industry for a million years, and I had that experience. I was recently at the Massachusetts Broadcasters Awards.
Did you win
ceremony.
something?
I did not, unfortunately, but I ate a good meal. I had lots of good food. I networked my butt off. It was great. But Maddie, anyone who is Boston-based will know the amazing Maddie in the Morning. Matt Siegel won the MBA award for the year, which is very prestigious for a New England award. And he has been on radio for 40 years. I mean, he's been on radio forever. And when I see him...
Is it forever or 40 years?
Well, 40 years plus. No,
Plus
he's
forever.
been on KISS 108 for 40 years
Right.
plus. And when I see that, I'm always surprised at seeing them off
You meet
camera or off microphone, live in person versus listening to their persona.
Yeah, because you sort of make up whatever you think they are.
And
then
I
you
knew what
see
he
them.
looked like.
But
You know, I
it's
had
to
seen
meet
him several
them, though,
times,
it's
but
different.
it's
Yeah.
odd, right?
Well, another...
Oh, wait, Dan.
What?
I have to tell you.
Yes, what?
Hello.
Breaking
I just
news?
missed the obvious.
What?
Our dear friend Candy O'Terry, who was on
Oh, right.
our program, invited me.
Oh,
She was
yes.
emceeing
Candy
that, and
O'Terry.
she's the best MC.
She was
There's
great.
no MC like her.
She was great. Candy,
was great.
who bigger, larger than life personality, and then now is kind of struck out on her own, right?
She's incredible. Another seasoned veteran. She was on a radio station in Boston, Magic 106.7 for 28 years.
And she
And then
transitioned.
left. And transitioned for her own business.
And she's back.
And she's back. She's the president of Boston Women Media and Entertainment, and she has a production company, and she's just a tour de force.
There's great power in a smile.
Right.
And I've learned that the world just keeps on spinning, whether you're sad or happy. And you have to choose how you want to conduct yourself in this world. And I just choose to be as positive as I can be. I mean, that's just what I do.
And always, I think it's great when there are people who are using their celebrity to lift others up. And she was all about that. I mean, not only focusing on her own career, but focusing on women in the industry. And that's a powerful thing. Another powerful person, and actually it was a couple. I think these might be my all-time favorite of the 100 shows that we had. Gatit Choval and her producer husband, Ron. I just fell in love with them.
The Israeli music.
Yes, I know.
They were a party unto themselves.
Yes, no, definitely. Take a listen just to her voice so you know what we're talking about here.
We try not to let anybody stay behind, and we really try to see their heart and make them shine wherever they can shine, and that's
but you know, everybody is failing. We fail all the time. Our kids fail every day, right? But when you see your failing as a part of your way to success, it's okay to fail, and it's even.
Gatit, I'm so glad you said that.
So they came in, and what was so wonderful was walking us through their story, which is part entrepreneurship, because they were doing a lot of voiceover stuff for American series.
Yes.
They would do the voiceovers in Israel.
Animations.
Yeah. And in addition to that, he discovered her, in essence, when she was young. She had done this young talent show. Yep. She became this unbelievable star in Israel, reconnected with him. They became a couple, and together have been producing a lot of work together, and now moving, I think, into children's music. But they were
exciting, right?
Yeah, it was exciting. When I left there, you know me, I don't like people in general. I warm up to people eventually, I guess. I had a huge smile on my face.
So fun. Partners in business for life, and then partners in life.
Anyway,
speaking of lifting up for the cause, we can't not talk about our friend Joyce Kulhaywick.
Oh, yes,
Joyce Kulhaywick is one of the most...
Entertainment.
I mean,
she worked with Roger Ebert and Leonard Maltin.
30 years?
Yeah, I mean,
on,
she was
Channel 5, WCVB?
She was local, and then she also was part of a syndicated program in entertainment, and she has always been the go-to person. If you want to know what's happening in entertainment, she has it. But she's also very real.
She's very real, and she's very open about her struggles with breast cancer, being a breast cancer survivor, and how many women she is motivated and uplifted to just live and survive and just thrive in life. I mean, it really is very moving.
And then I said, when we go to the Oscars, we really should talk to Roger Ebert. Why don't we do a live shot with Roger Ebert? He and I will do our picks. They said, Roger Ebert? How are you going to get Roger Ebert to do this? I said, well, I'm going to call him. And I did. And he said yes. And every single year I would go out there, and Roger Ebert and I once a year would trade our picks. So I formed kind of an informal, relationship with him, and he was terrific, I will say. No ego about the man. He was always about the movies.
And, you're talking about a cancer survivor, another one who was on our show, and talks about how she's so thankful for every day that she's on this earth, and that's Keisha Monk from 97.7. I listen to that station. It has some of the oldies now, which is back when I was.
I always have to do my really bad R&B impression.
What is that? Welcome, 97.7. This is Keisha Monk. We have lots of stories coming up next month.
Yeah, and I go through. Here's the thing.
Days.
I go through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru in the morning, and when I hear Keisha and her counterpart on the radio, sometimes I just have to text her.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I have to go, Keisha, don't forget about me. You haven't called.
No, she's great, but she's also doing some national shows as well. Yeah. She's doing the intro or announcing for some national shows.
Yes.
But she was just such a spark. She came in here, and she is someone who is wringing every single drop of water out of life.
Yes, she is.
I kind of feel like there's a reason for me surviving cancer, not once, not twice, but 3 times. I was given chance after chance after chance. And even though it hasn't been easy, I just feel like I cannot let myself down by being discouraged. It happens, but I learned to let go. Yeah, I absolutely am human.
Incredible.
Hey, you know, someone who you brought into the studio who's always, I would give him the award for the most follow-up, and that's Frankie.
Frankie Amberg.
Yeah, he came into our studio. He gave me his book. He's always he follows me on social media. He's always, hey buddy, how's it going?
Love him.
He has been in pretty much every movie that's ever been made.
Yes, he has. He is the quintessential Boston actor.
Yeah.
Who is just, he's got his finger in every pie.
Yes, he does.
He's the North End guy.
Yes,
right?
he is.
Everyone in the North End knows Frankie.
And if you don't know him,
Gets free
get
food.
to know him
Yeah.
now.
Free food, free wine, wherever he goes. He's just in the mix.
American Hustle. I was working in American Hustle. I had a good part. I was the waiter. I'm in the scene where I serve Jennifer Lawrence and Christian Bale. And they asked me, what do we have? And I said, well, I take the pan out of the kitchen, and we're having the chicken piccata. Oh, it's my favorite. We're talking a couple of minutes there at that scene. And then David O. Russell wanted me to make eggplant parmesan, so he asked Angela Perry. So Angela called me, and I made 2 big trays. I took them. They were all in the backyard in her house, and I had to go. I couldn't stay that day because I was doing the DJ Stand the Man movie.
So you had to work.
Awesome.
You had to work.
I did a movie. They always talk about food, you know. Like Melissa McCarthy come up to me, and she wanted a cookbook, so I gave her a cookbook.
Okay, so the award, I guess, for the biggest star that has come on our show, I guess, right?
This is
Serge?
so fun, Dan. I have to say, this is like a roller coaster ride. I'm having a ball going through
We have a ball all the time. In fact, if you've listened to our shows, you probably, sometimes we just crack ourselves up.
Yes, we
because
do.
we're so funny.
Well, you crack me up. Sure.
You crack me
You're
up.
funny
So
despite
Serge,
yourself.
there we go. But Serge, tell us about Serge. He's a huge star, right? And he
Okay,
was
Serge-
on
Serge
our
is one of
show.
those guys that I can never stop talking about, but I can't say anything about him because everything is private until it comes out public.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I'll tell you, basically, this guy is an up-and-coming star. No question about it. He started at our studio a while back now. I'd say probably 4 or 5 years.
Oh, before I
Right,
started
Brad?
working there. Before
Right. So
I came.
He came in. He was working on The Equalizer. They were shooting in Boston. He
Right.
was working with Denzel Washington.
Yep.
Directly. He was one of the
He was
mean
the Russian
and evil
yeah, he was,
Russians.
Yeah, he was the Russian
Yes.
a Russian sidekick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's always the evil
He
Russian.
does a lot of the evil Russian stuff. Right.
Well, he does. He's an American guy who actually was a professional rapper. And you guys, listeners, look him up. He
Like an
ironically
Eminem
looked like
kinda guy,
Eminem for a
right.
long time and transitioned into acting. So he showcased with us in New York, landed his agency. They've been submitting him bi-coastally in New York and LA ever since. And he's really a rising star. He's been
Print
recurring
work.
on Blacklist,
Yeah.
right, Brent?
Yeah, he does print work. He's done a couple of network shows and other things along the way.
Yeah, there's another show I can't mention now, but it's a major network. He's now landed a recurring role in that. He's going to be
Great.
coming out, I guess, in the next month or two.
And he took
We're
the time.
showing it now.
And he took the time from his busy schedule to walk right into our studio.
He's awesome. He's awesome in every way. And guys, you got to keep an eye out for Serge Didanko.
Of course.
So basically, she wanted me to rap in my monologue because I have a little background. That's what I used to do. I used to perform a lot, do a bunch of shows in New England, East Coast stuff. But I felt like
at the time, he happened to look exactly like Eminem at that time.
I've had a buzz cut my whole life, and now I have hair.
Oh,
Hair.
okay. Yeah, I was trying to see the Eminem thing. It wasn't adding up for me, but I get it. Okay. Yeah. It
We'll
works.
show you his old headshot. You'll see what we mean. Okay.
Yeah, literally almost a day did not go by back in the day when people would. I was a valet once, and someone gave me $10 just for looking like Eminem.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Slim Shady.
Yeah.
Slim
Okay.
Shady.
Yeah.
She told me to rap during the monologue, and I was like, no, that's stupid. Law, that's dumb. Why would you come up with such a dumb idea? I was like, ugh, like emotions. Wasn't happy. It's not that I didn't want to do it. I just literally thought it was stupid.
And he didn't want to do it, right? And then what was the second thing we had to do in that monologue?
And to make matters worse, she said that I should speak Russian in my monologue. And I'm like, what? No, I don't want to speak Russian. Why would I do that? That's terrible. Terrible idea. And it's probably, both of those reasons are probably the reason why I've gotten as far as I've gotten by adding those and being comfortable with those and constantly adding those just to show that I stand out amongst other applicants. It's huge.
Wow. This was a guest that we had on that has had no producing experience whatsoever, but produced a wonderful documentary, and that was Nazda Alam.
Oh,
a wonderful
Nazda.
person who really decided to focus on the Rohingya crisis, which a lot of people have. If you're following the news and what's in the New York Times and some of the other networks, she has wanted to take on the issue of the atrocities happening against Muslim women. In these Rohingya women, and it is it was a cause that she took on, and we're talking about Myanmar. She took on this cause with no producing experience whatsoever. Finds a crew, puts together the crew, and her son goes along, and they interview people in camps. And end up putting together a powerful documentary. And she came on to talk to us about what it's like to become a producer when you have no background in producing.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing about her is that she is just a regular person, a lay person. She considers herself just like everyone else, and now turned docu-filmmaker and really showcasing her work all over New England now.
It's not against any particular group or political party or the power. The Bangladesh, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she's a woman. And that was interesting that I'm talking about the women issue. And the Myanmar, the head of the Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, is a woman. So I did not feel any fear because it's all about women. And I'm not protesting particular person. It's all about the war, the victim, and suspect. The power.
So where do we go from here? Like, how do we make it better? All of these, more than 40, we think certainly more than 37 guests or so. We're probably 40, depending on some of the people we had some walk-ons. How do we make this, how do we make it richer in the next 100 episodes?
Well, I think the sky's the limit. We have a whole wait list, Dan, now of folks who are wannabe guests who will be coming on. So listeners, listen in for 2019. We've got a great lineup for you. We've got interest in sponsorship and getting on larger platforms. I mean, it's just, it's exploding.
And the idea here, one of the things that we hear from people is that, there are a lot of shows that showcase people or have people just talking all the time. But what we're trying to do here is to offer inspiration, to show that even those at the very top are real people and came from somewhere, and they can teach you a lot by telling you where they came from. Or those who are mid-career folks who are trying to figure out how to get to the next level, and they can teach you something. Or those who are starting over because they got laid off, or they always had a dream and a passion that they wanted to follow, and so they left their job and they're starting from scratch. There's a lot that you can learn from them. There's a lot that can inspire you, and that's what we hope that this podcast will continue to do over the next 100 episodes, is offer interesting, entertaining stories that also can be inspiring and uplifting.
And there's also that missing piece in our industry of the explanation of how do you get from A to B to C. That's always something that's edited out when you watch, A-listers on programs talking about their life. And, they give them a 2 or 3 minute bite of time, and they really end up spending most of their time plugging their projects is really the truth. We love the plug, but we want to get to the education. We want to get to the process. We want you, our listeners, to hear what really happens in the mindset, in the psychology of process with these real people and what their challenges are to get where they need to go. Not just about the success stories, but about all the stories, right, Brent?
I mean, that's always the big question people ask when they first come in is, how do I become a star? What do I need to do? And, this podcast allows people to know that there's not one universal answer.
Exactly.
Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different path. And that's what we always try to tell people. And listening to you guys when I get the podcast to edit, it's always entertaining. There's always a story to be heard. There's always a lesson to be learned.
And Bren knows
the applause underneath.
And the applause
applauding
underneath. Well, the knee-jerk reaction now, Bren, is you want to be a star. Easy, no problem. Get me coffee right now. And then I'll tell you what to do next, and I'll make you a star.
I have that power now.
He's got the power. But speaking of power, for the listeners who don't know, because Bren hasn't been on the show in a while, because he's been back at the studio editing his butt off.
That's
he
right.
is the guy that does all the editing and engineering for
that's
this
right,
program.
yeah.
So-
I may be off the mic, but I am still working for the podcast.
That's right.
There you
and
go.
Sometimes he has to really edit us.
Yeah, well, if you like-
believe it or not, no.
Oh, thank you.
You guys
Thank
make
you.
my job easy.
I see. I did that on purpose just so
See
that
that,
you could
Dan?
say that about us.
There's a
Yeah,
little
I set him up,
compliment
and
for
he
you
just
right
bit right into
there.
that hook. Thank you.
Yeah, but he's the guy who creates the production values on this program. Oh, wait, Carol. We got to get Carol and Malka in on this. What do you gals want to see happening with our program in the next year?
Yeah.
Right? We're almost at New Year's right now.
And speak
Hop
up.
on the mic.
Yeah,
Hop
speak
on the
up.
mic.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Yeah, all right. We get some time here. She's getting
Yeah.
over to the mic.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So I think it's exciting where the podcast has been and where it has come to, having so many different types of guests on. We were talking about this before, where we have so many people that have been professionals in this industry for many, many years, offering fantastic advice. And then we also have people that are a lot of them over 40, that are just entering this business and are hearing other people that have just started or have been working in this business, and it sort of gives them the incentive. It's saying, oh, that's me. I'm looking to be in this business.
Right, right.
And so I think this podcast has really been able to encourage people that are thinking about it or that have already given up a lot to be doing this business.
Right.
And there's so much great information. And I just think that we can keep following this trajectory.
Right. And thanks so much for
great.
coming. You come in from time to time, not only just to cheer us on. Sometimes you're quietly sitting over there. You'll chuckle. So if you ever hear a chuckle, that's probably who it
Quietly
is.
is never a description
Well,
I've
actually,
heard
that's
for
right.
Carol,
She usually comes in late and slams the door and then throws down a bag. And I'm over here, turning down volume so it doesn't sound like a mouse got into the wires. But
I want to add one thing. Carol's always the voice that you hear for the introductions when
that's right.
Law and
Yeah.
Dan bring in guests. And,
that's right. It's a wonderful
Carol and
podcast-esque voice.
Yeah, Carol and I now have a set routine. Before it would take 20, 30 minutes to just find the perfect take. Carol knows what she's doing now. She's in and out before I even have a chance to press the record button.
Good.
And just want to give Carol her props for that.
Well, thank you so much. So we hope that you will continue to not only listen to our podcast, but tell everyone in your network about Mike Camera Action, because we want the word to spread. We're hoping to really make this show blow up even bigger over the next 100 episodes.
Media
and beyond.
sensation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, Dan?
Yeah, I think so.
The
I mean,
sky's the limit. Why not?
it is. No one else out there is doing anything like us. And I don't
No.
care. If you find somebody else, we don't believe it. It's fake news.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to all the rest of the great episodes around the corner.
Here's to the next 100.
Fantastic.
That's
So then I was like, do you want to see my Neumann?
Dude, we're still rolling.
What? They're still listening? Don't these people have homes? Well, since you're still with us, check us out at LawLapidasCompany.com and LittleParkMedia.com and look for Media Monster, the Learning Hub programs. Everything from coaching to podcasts to media events and very cool and necessary seminars and workshops. By the way, did that lazy tech director ever fix the intro on post?